purpose of the European Union, which is a grand experiment of whether people can come into union. So far, of course, it has been the fallen beings who have attempted to take control and force some kind of sameness by creating a forced uniformity through the economy and through the political process. But you are beginning to see how this is no longer quite working as they had hoped. The union is, so to speak, being stretched almost to the breaking point in some areas. And this is not because there's anything wrong or unsustainable about having a European Union, but it is because it has not yet reached the point, the level of consciousness where true union can be sustainable. It is still based on the considerations of this world, the duality consciousness, the desire for control through conformity, and not by the higher vision of Saint Germain and the Ascended Masters. Who can bring that higher vision? Well, many people. You yourselves can, of course, be part of bringing this vision by raising your consciousness, by making the calls and invocations, by sharing your presence and speaking to other people. But you can also be part of it by holding the vision and making the calls on behalf of the many, many people who can bring forth a piece of the puzzle of Saint Germain's vision for Europe, but who are not and who do not need to be familiar with Ascended Master teaching. You are, my beloved, the forerunners for Saint Germain's golden age. But do not fall into the trap of thinking that you alone will bring it forth. You have the expertise in one field, spirituality. Some of you also have expertise in a particular field in your occupation. But you cannot have the expertise in every field that is necessary in order to bring forth the golden age. This is a big undertaking, a very complex endeavor. And so there must be many, many people all throughout Europe who each receive a piece of that vision. And many of them are not openly spiritual. Some of them are not spiritual at all, but they still have the opening in their consciousness to receive one idea in a lifetime that can help bring society forward. And it will be very helpful to us of the Ascended Masters if you will hold the vision and make the calls for these people to be free to receive their contribution. You may have seen some of the images that have been created, where you have taken a large number of individual photographs. And when you look at some of these pictures close up, you see the individual photographs clearly, and you only see the individual pictures. But if you then zoom out and see it from a greater distance, you see that the individual pictures form a mosaic, and a mosaic has a larger picture in it. This is how we see Europe. We are not focused on the differences that divide people. We are able to look from a greater distance and therefore see the overall picture formed by the mosaic of the individual picture tiles. This is how you can come to see Europe as well. And by holding this vision, by asking us to give you a clear vision of the greater picture. You can become open doors for anchoring it in the collective consciousness. This truly is a great service of what Saint Germain has called eye magic, where you use the power of vision to create a magic effect so that other people can begin to see the larger mosaic formed by the individual pictures of the millions of people who embody in Europe. They can even begin then to see beyond some of these outer divisions that divide people so much. There has already been significant progress in seeing beyond race. This was brought about by the very hard lesson of the Holocaust and the racial hatred, which many nations in Europe have made a determined effort to raise themselves above. But it is far better that the collective consciousness is pulled up by those who are the spiritual people acting as the magnet, so that they do not have to have these hard lessons. For I tell you that if every division in Europe had to be overcome through such dramatic events, then it would be devastating and create such wounds in the souls of the people on Europe that it would prevent the manifestation of the Golden Age. It would also take a very long time. And Saint Germain does not envision that it will take so long to manifest a Golden Age in Europe. So the only real solution here is that those who are the spiritual people hold the vision, make the calls, overcome the consciousness that you alone have to take credit for bringing in the Golden Age, but instead reach that level where you are seeking to raise the whole, you are seeking to raise the all, and you are truly only wanting people to be raised up and liberated so they can bring forth their individual gift. Truly, we have seen students of the Ascended Masters fall into this trap of wanting to feel that they were so special that they had a mostly subconscious and unrecognized desire to hold other people down so that they could stand out as the ones who did the important work. And they sometimes envisioned that in some future time there would be this grand ceremony and they would be recognized as the ones who saved the earth. This, of course, is not the way we work, we are the Ascended Masters, for we see the oneness of all life. We see and we acknowledge how important you are as the forerunners, but we do not see you through a value judgment that makes you better or more important than other people, for we see a reflection of ourselves in all people on earth. And so we value each one indefinitely in a way that cannot be measured by the dualistic mind and therefore cannot be subjected to a value judgment. Find that inner freedom where you do not evaluate and judge others, and therefore do not evaluate and judge yourself. This is a great freedom to have, for then you are truly open to divine direction, for you do not place a preconceived image on what form that divine direction should take. You are not wanting the great divine director to come in and validate your human vision, to fulfill your human needs, to be greater than others. For of course, I will not play that game with anyone on earth. I am a cosmic being. If anyone in embodiment on earth imagines that I will validate their fantasies, they are out of touch with the reality of who I am. And thus they are not in contact with the great divine director. Perhaps they are in contact with an impostor, and they think they are receiving genuine direction. But it cannot be so if you think you are more important than other people. Truly, we seek only to raise up all. I do not want you to think that I do not care about each individual, but I do want you to realize that I look at the earth from a greater distance than even Saint Germain, and therefore I see a greater picture than he sees from his vantage point, and certainly a much greater picture than you see while you are in embodiment. And therefore I simply want you to have that sense of realism, that if you are to receive my divine direction, you need to be willing to look beyond your human desires and imaginations. This, of course, brings me to the topic of the clearing out of the mental and the identity realms on earth, an action that I have been performing as I have been speaking, inasmuch as I have been able to do so based on the work you have been doing at this conference. The, I will say, magnificent work you have been doing, not only through invocations and decrees, but by being together, by talking to each other, by talking in a group, by clarifying your vision and your ideas. This has value, because whatever you do at such a conference, we of the Masters are constantly using your chakras to send out light to the planet, or in this case to Europe and to the collective consciousness. Thus, if you have been feeling an intensity during this dictation, it is because I have been using your chakras to release light into the identity realm, into the mental realm, and I have large numbers of angels who have come with me. I have angels that are normally working under Saint Germain and the other Johans who have come into the identity and the mental realms over Europe and who have performed both the clearing action but also the binding of certain of the demons that are existing there, the taking, the bringing forth of the judgment of some of the fallen beings embodied there, so that we can clear out what can be cleared out in this cycle, partly based on the statement of Jesus Christ that he no longer accepts the falsity of Christianity and the presence of these false teachers who have used him and his example to enslave the people on earth, whereas he truly came to set them free. And thus it is time that they be removed from the earth, because certainly when the Christ who has been in embodiment on earth and has vowed to still work with the earth makes the decision that this is enough, then I as a cosmic being can only reinforce and validate that decision. I am not making those kind of decisions, for I have not been in embodiment on earth. But I truly support those who have ascended from such a dense planet and who have now decided that enough is enough. And thereby I count you, although you have not ascended yet, but you have also come to that point of deciding that enough is enough, that it is time to bring in a new cycle. And this must mean that those who will not let go of the old, who will not embrace the new, and who have had opportunity after opportunity and turned it down, they must be removed to some other realm, so that the majority of the people on earth can be freed from the heavy weight and the illusions perpetrated by these beings. You can look at planet Earth and its recent history, and you could ask yourself, has any bad idea that has influenced this planet not come out of Europe? And you would indeed see that most of the ideas who have influenced this planet in a negative way have come out of someone who was embodied or had been embodied on the European continent. Europe has been a cradle for so many ideas, both good and false, both constructive and unconstructive. And this is the potential for Europe to play its part in the bringing forth of the Golden Age by being a cradle for ideas that are received from the Ascended Masters. But what the fallen beings have attempted to do in Europe is indeed to bring forth their own conceived ideas, ideas based on the duality consciousness, ideas designed to validate them and give them greater control and put themselves up as gods on earth. No more shall this be allowed, for these beings have removed the records of their imaginations, and their energies are removed from the identity and mental octaves, and therefore these realms are clear. And again, the angels of the Johans will take up positions in the mental and identity realms, so that there cannot be other dark beings from other places that can rush in and fill the empty spaces. The spaces are not empty, for they are filled with light. And when you make the calls that reinforce this action, then they can expand that sphere of light in the mental and identity realms. And thus we can, together, you in embodiment, us in the ascended realm, and those of us who have taken up positions in the identity and mental realms, we can form that figure-8 flow, whereby we create an upward spiral that will very, very quickly begin to clear out these false ideas from the collective consciousness of Europe. And people will wake up and they will just feel a new freedom. Some will just let the old ideas fall away as they let go of a heavy overcoat in the spring when they feel the warming rays of the sun. They do not need to analyze, they do not need to look at it. They just throw it off and walk away from it. Others will need to take a look, they will need to analyze, and they will see all of a sudden, how could we ever believe in these ideas? How could we ever believe in such nonsense? How could we ever take it seriously and think that this had some kind of power over us? Truly, the emperor has nothing on. What a freedom people will feel when they come to that point individually. What a freedom many have already felt by having some ideas fall away over the last decades. Many people during the 70s and 80s were truly ensnared by the utopian dream created through communism and Marxism and socialism. Many have since been awakened from this dream and seen the unreality of it. Many have not yet been awakened, but can and will be awakened in the coming times as these mental and identity realms are cleared, and as more light can stream through from the ascended octave, so that more and more people can tune into and consciously receive the ideas that the Johans and the archangels and the Elohim are constantly releasing from their realm into the 4 levels of the material universe of Earth and of Europe. Europe can again become a cradle for innovation and new ideas and new thinking. Europe can become a cradle for looking at the past and clearly seeing the falsity and the unreality of some of the ideas and practices. Truly, I perform an action now aimed at bringing forth a new sustainable money system, a new way to look at the economy, a way that is beyond what any economist has been able to envision so far. It is so far beyond that this messenger cannot bring forth a message on it because he does not have enough knowledge of the economy. But there are people in embodiment who have that knowledge, and who will be able to begin receiving pieces of Saint Germain's vision for a golden age sustainable economy in Europe. And when I say sustainable, I do not mean static. I mean an economy that forms an upward spiral and bring forth more and more wealth without at the same time creating more and more debt and more inflation. It brings growth without the negative effects that you see in the artificially created economy of the fallen beings. I hereby pronounce the judgment of Christ and the judgment of the great divine director upon the money system of the fallen angels here in Europe. Let those beings who have brought forth this false money system receive their judgment this day. Let them receive the opportunity to choose whether they will embrace the light or reject the light. And let those who reject the light be removed from the earth now and forevermore. This is a dispensation. This is a gift from my heart. It is not one that was scheduled or at least not guaranteed for this conference, but it is a gift that I bring forth because I see that you have done your part. You have been willing to come up higher, to multiply the opportunity, and thus I provide the increase by taking one jewel from my belt of many jewels and depositing it in the mental realm over Europe, taking another jewel and depositing it in the identity realm. This then is my gift of a momentum of energy, of divine direction that I give to the people of Europe because of what you have been willing to overcome and transcend in yourselves and because of the service you have been willing to perform. I do not here count only you who are physically present at this conference, but all of those who have taken up the teachings of the Ascended Masters and used our decrees and invocations. It is a gift that you have earned. You have my gift. You have my gratitude. You have my joy. Divine direction, I am.